Lord have mercy.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Wiley Show. I am your host, Wiley. How y'all doing out there? Growing up, I've always been a workaholic, putting that work in. So I was working with a company and I would vacuum floors, throw out garbage. I was a janitor and it was in a downtown area. I don't know how I found this job, but I was just searching online for a job, just searching and searching. I didn't research the company, and I had an interview, and it was this beautiful white woman that she was short, and she was conducting an interview as well as some other white folks. And I got in the office and I did the interview. I explained to them I'm qualified for the position, that I know how. I think I lied. I said I know how to do buff floors, I know how to wax floors. At that time, I didn't know how to do any of those things, but I said it because that's what the job entailed. So I get to the office and I'm there, and she said, "Oh, you got the job." So I, every day I would work very hard, each floor, vacuuming, throwing out the trash, meeting different tenants. And I've always been great, having great conversations with each tenant that I meet. If I meet a tenant that's a lawyer, I sit there and I have a conversation with the lawyer about law, and I've learned about employment law, and injury lawyers, and I learned how grimy, a lawyer can be. And I even was working in the same place where attorney they were getting, hired to represent a black family if you get shot by a police officer or something. I'm not gonna name the law office, but I would clean up and I would throw away the trash, but I would soak up information when I would work in these places. I even cleaned up from like folks that books, golf, to do golf, and I've learned how profitable golfing is. And I would ask questions like, what's this all about? Oh, we 24/7, we help book people golf courses around the world. And so people will call in and book to golf and about different tee times. About I'm like, oh, okay, this is like sort of money. And I've not noticed like people, I guess golfing is a big, multi-million-dollar industry because people be calling to golf. So I would go in, I would vacuum it, but I love my job. I was very diligent. I would clean the floors, I would wipe the floors, I would clean the windows, whatever it takes. It just so happened it was a guy that was very attractive, that was gay. It was a salon, and it was a guy who was very attractive. And I was trying to flirt. And he didn't last long because he would smoke weed in the salon. And my cousin knew him. And he said, well, Wiley got me fired because he told the supervisors that I was smoking weed in a place. I was like, no, you got yourself fired because your boss smelled the marijuana. I didn't get you fired. I would never do something like that. But every day I would go to work. I had to be at work around 5 o'clock. That's people were leaving, going home. But I would get there early. I would go get my Popeyes chicken, and I would mop those floors, clean those toilets. I was very diligently working. And then I learned in the workplace that racism can play a big part. I forgot that I was a black man. I forgot I'm black. I just thought of myself a hardworking man. I didn't think of color. But I started to notice that they were firing, or a lot of people that I work with were let go. Even the my supervisor, Julie, she was fired. And so I'm just doing my work, and I was very ambitious. I always wanted to be a supervisor because I thought I can help take the company to the next level, get more contracts or whatever. But I was cleaning up, vacuuming, throwing out trash, and then one day, we got a visit from a union. And what was the name of that? Is it ABM? Was it AB? I forgot the name of this company that was like polishing floors or was cleaning. And they were like, listen, we represent them and they get paid good money. And they said, how much are you making? So I was like, I'm making like $13 an hour. He said, you chose to be making more working downtown. And y'all should try to unionize, and they're trying to keep y'all a secret. And I'm like, okay, trying to keep it a secret. So I'm like, wow, we could be making more money, vacuuming and throwing out trash. Now, mind you, we're in the downtown Chicago area, making this. So word got out that we were trying to unionize, and we wasn't trying to unionize. I was just having a conversation with the guy because he was white. I'm like, okay, let's have the conversation. Didn't hear nothing for it. Boom. Then my supervisor started, the owner of the cleaning company started to be very shady. She would send me emails like, oh, it was trash left in this room, or it was garbage left. And I know I didn't leave that garbage. Like, she was trying to encourage me to quit, but she would text me in the middle of the night, call me in the middle of the night about this complaint and that complaint. And so, me being the person that I am, I would go to that particular unit that were complaining. I said, hey, I got a complaint. She said, oh my gosh, no, I would never complain. You does an amazing job, because this one particular tenant, she liked you to vacuum the floor, even if it's not junky. She liked to see the vacuum cleaner because a certain way it leave the carpet looking good. We just put the vacuum and leave different waves, I call it, and she just loved it like that way, just to know that we went in there, even if it wasn't junky, we would just still put that vacuum cleaner on it, and we do a diligent work. And I was like, well, thank you for that, because we thought we had got a complaint. And I started to notice that the boss was just saying these different things because she was trying to force me to quit. And I'm not a quitter. So I would still come work, and I came even earlier, and I would clean diligent. I would be all in the lobby cleaning. I would clean the windows, polish the brass, or whatever you want to call it. I would do all of that. And I started to say, hey, since we don't have a supervisor, I will go and apply for it. And she was like, yeah, you're trying to be a supervisor, and we're getting all these complaints. That building, that building is this, and that building, we're getting all this. And I'm like, what complaints? Because everybody is just giving us compliments. And then when people will give us compliments, you will never hear about the compliments. It will always be something. I seen a couple of debris in the lobby. And I started to notice that the guy that was the maintenance worker would leave different stuff. People were telling me, hey man, he is like sending like pictures, and like he's just deliberately doing things and sending out pictures saying y'all not doing a good job. You can't trust him, because I'm very nice. I would talk to everybody. And so people was like, well, you don't need to be nice to him. He's up there trying to get you fired, because they started to hire a lot of Hispanics. And I've started to hear that them Hispanics were coming in working for like $9 or $8. And I wasn't taking no pay cut. At that time, I done went up to like $15 an hour. And I wasn't going to take any type of pay cut, because what I look like taking a pay cut. So all of that was going on. I was doing my job, and I was vacuuming, throwing out trash, doing everything I can do, yet doing another interview and meeting up with the boss again. She telling me about complaints, and it was always some come to my office for this, and she would always like target me, because I was the last black man standing. Then it was another coworker that she pretty much left, but she was in a relationship and she had to bring her kids to work, and they would be in the elevator. It was like an old elevator, one of them old elevator where you can control. But it was one of them type of, so they were being there, and we didn't say anything about it because the previous supervisor that got fired, she knew about it. She didn't say nothing. So when she left, we didn't say anything about it. But I eventually came to her. I was like, hey, you don't need to, you know, bring your kids because eventually somebody's going to trick on you and you don't want to get in trouble. Then she lost her job because of a tenant told on her and said, hey, this lady got her kids in the elevator. This is unsafe, etc. But she blamed it on me. Somehow I was somebody trying to take her job. I was difficult to work with. She was saying all of these lies. Now, mind you, I'm still coming in every day on time, cleaning. When I would leave, I will make sure everything is done. Even when everybody else will leave their unit, I will go back in each office I clean to make sure I did it right. And it never dawned on me that I was working in a losing battle. Like that never dawned on me. But then one day I went to Popeye. I always did. I always eat my Popeye's chicken. Always give me some chicken, some biscuits, and I would eat and I would work because I would always get to work extremely early. Because that's what I love doing it. I just love my job. It was paying me good. It was downtown, one train ride, Green Line. Here I am. I'm there. But then she called me, say, hey, Marquise, let me I need to see you in the office. And I said, okay, I'm already here. They're about to give me my promotion. Here we go. I'm about to get this long, lengthy promotion. I know what he doing. So I get to the office and we sat down and she said, we're going to have to let you go. It's like I couldn't hardly like I wasn't there. Like I couldn't hardly hear what she said. It was like all the energy was like sucked out of me. I was like shocked. We're gonna have to let you go. I'm like, really? Like, what did I do? Oh, we're going to different. We're just going to different direction. We're gonna have to let you go. So when she said it, I left out of the office extremely hurt. When I tell you, I was on the bus because I have to go get my Popeyes, and I did get that, and I just threw it away because I lost some appetite. I was on the bus, I was crying, like literally like weeping, and it was a Jehovah's Witness on the bus, and she said, "I heard," because I was talking with somebody about the situation. She said, "I heard what you were saying, so I'm going to pray for you," and I was like, "Thank you," and I was still crying. And then some told me, why don't you call Julie? And so I called this woman, Julie, and I said, I lost my job. They fired me. And she was like, well, I'm working at this senior care facility. I'm working at this retirement center. I said, what's that? What's a retirement place? Well, I work with the elderly people. Can you get to Elmhurst, Illinois? Now, mind you, I had no car and I'm living in Inglewood with my granny. I already got fired from this job. And I said, I need a job. I didn't know anything about unemployment. I didn't even apply for unemployment. I said, I needed another job. So she said, I can hire you. I need a janitor working from Monday through Friday. Can you come? And I was like, where's Amherst? So I can remember the day I told my mom, can you take me to Amherst? She drove, we got there, and I found like it was like a bus, like a Pace bus that went out. Pace is like in the suburbs, CTA that's in the city. And I said, okay, it was right, here go Amherst Hospital. Okay, it's right across the street from Amherst Hospital. So if I could just find how to get there, then I got the job. She said, you're hired. I did the interview, beautiful interview. She was in charge of housekeeping. I was a janitor, and it was a good place. While working there, I learned how to take the bus, and of course, I had to get up at 4 a.m. to get to work at 7:00 because the place was really far from where I stay, and I had to take 2 buses and a train to get to work. I didn't have a car then. So I would work Monday to Friday. And what I've learned a such thing as CNAs and the residents and activities. I was just learning healthcare. And I'm just vacuuming, cleaning, having a conversation with the administrator. His name was Richard. We're having a conversation about politics, and it was very powerful and very powerful conversations that we would have about politics, about Republicans, about Democrats. And I've learned something. He would read the newspaper and he said, Wiley, what do you think about this and that? And I didn't hold back. Some people was afraid to speak to their boss, and I'm like, he pee the same like me. I'm going to have a conversation with this guy. I'm not going to be afraid to not have a conversation with him. I'm going to sit here and have a conversation with him and talk about what we're going to talk about. So we were talking in the lobby, and we would talk. And mind you, that was like during the winter months. It was a lot of salt coming in, so I had to vacuum it, the area, throw out the trash. And then you had, I had to work in a dementia unit where we couldn't go outside the door. I had to wash the vacuum cleaner. I had to wash the chemicals because the resident there try to drink it if you leave it in front of them. So I was in there just working and working and working. And then eventually I started to help. When the residents would go, they would have them go to a cemetery as a field trip. I don't know why, but they do that. But anywho, I would help the residents get on the van. And this lady, Nancy, that was the concierge. That's a little fancy word for reception. They said concierge. I learned that new. And she said to me, why don't you become a CNA? And I'm like, CNA? I'm like, okay, I never thought of. You're so good with the residents. Why don't you go and get your CNA license? And let me tell you about, it was meant for me to do CNA. I already got fired. I'm in this new place. And the supervisor that got me into this position, she got fired because somebody told on her and tricked on her and lied and talking about she be missing work and all that. And she got her position and she did all of that. And I know I couldn't trust her because she told and got my Julie fired. But I already knew Julie was a white woman. She always gonna get a good job. That's just what it is. So I wasn't worried. I had that good much sense. She's a white woman. She always get a job. But Nancy was like, why don't you become a CNA? So I'm just, at that time, I had a car. And I had from JD Byrider. Y'all remember that? JD Byrider, you your credit jacked up. You get that car that you pay every week or every 2 weeks on. High interest rate. You're paying a high note. Every time you get paid, you got to pay a car note. So and the car would leak and everything. It didn't matter. I had a car. I was happy because my credit was extremely bad. I was just driving on King Drive. And I just so happened to see a big, gigantic sign. Get your CNA from 3 to get certified CNA 3 to 6 weeks. And the name of the place was Nirvana Institute. And it's on King Drive, 40-something in King Drive, where it used to be the same place where I went, where it used to be a Army recruiting station. The Nirvana Institute was like literally upstairs. And I went there and it was owned by a black woman. And she was short, beautiful sister. And I said, I want to get my CNA. So I sat there and I told them I want to get my CNA, took the course, passed up colors. Then I had to take my my clinicals at Bronzeville. It was in Bronzeville. It was the nursing home in Bronzeville. I forgot exactly where that nursing home was at, but I forgot the name of that nursing home. But it was so run down, poorly run, poorly staffed. It was smelling piss and everything. It was bad. But I appreciate working, getting our clinicals there, because it really taught me the business of a CNA, what to look forward to. It wasn't the prettiest place. It was, people I had, the towels in different areas, because, they ain't had that much linen. So folks would had it in the ceiling, and you would see residents that would be in a poop mess, because it was a lot, and they didn't have a lot of staffing. But we were put to work, even though when you're doing clinicals, you don't supposed to be doing all the hands-on work like that. You're supposed to shadow a CNA, but they were short, so we were extra bodies. So we learned. And so I learned how to put on a brief. I learned how to take care of it just in it, like boom. And I just learned. And then I finally told Nancy, hey, I got my CNA. And this is where I noticed that, again, being a black man in the workforce, that you would run into some resistance. So my new like supervisor over the department, he was I didn't see myself growing no more. I wanted to leave because he was too bad. He was like, "Oh, you're a great boy. You are so nice." And then he would dog me in meetings because people would tell me he would dog me in meetings, and I was really had strong relationship with the administrator. So some things would leak out to me how they would like dog me in morning meetings. That I'm a terrible worker. Uh, I'm a know-it-all, and et cetera, et cetera. He would say, but then he said, because I passed my schooling for CNA, but I had to take the state board. And he was like, if you know, if you don't pass, you would be S out of luck. Because I'd already hired somebody for your position. I'm like, I ain't gonna fail this test. So we went to Kennedy King College on Halsted. I think it's on 60 something Halsted, 63rd and Halsted. We went to Kennedy King College, and I took my state board test. And I took it, and I said, "Oh, baby, I mastered this test." And he said, and I'm waiting on the results, but I didn't already transfer from janitor to CNA because in Illinois you can work for like 120 days, like for a couple of months, without taking your state board. But you have to take your state board in a certain amount of time. But you can work with your certificate, but you must pass your state board in this certain amount of time. So I went on and just transferred. So I was like, oh my gosh, I hope I pass. I hope I pass. I hope I pass. I hope I pass. And then the lady over the Nirvana Institute, I didn't get my results, but she called me. She said, Marquise, I got your results. Congratulations, you passed. And I was like so excited that I passed, that test, and I was the first like CNA in that facility that transferred from housekeeping, janitor to CNA. Me being a person, I'm all about advancing my people. If I hear something, I always tell the next black brother or sister. So it was another sister in housekeeping. She said, Marquise, I want to get into CNA because I'm not making nothing as a housekeeper. So I want to get into CNA. How do you do it? So I told her the place to go. She went there. She passed. She was able to leave that job, go somewhere else, and make more money than I made. I think she went to the hospital. She went. Then it was another person. Marquise, where did you go to get your CNA? I said, I went on 4070 King Drive. She went there, passed, got it, boom. My brother, children's mother, she asked me, hey, Wiley, where do you go? You went here. She went there, and then she went on further to get her phlebotomist. Did I say the phlebotomist? To do the blood and stuff like that. She went there and advanced into that. So I've always like paid it forward to continue it because I never like held on to information. Now, as a CNA in this particular place, as a CNA, when I was working and doing, I wanted to advance and work as a receptionist, as a concierge, because the concierge were getting paid more, and I wanted to move there. So the lady that was the concierge, she was leaving. Nancy was leaving, and I said, Nancy, I would like to get this position. So I applied, and she said, well, I don't understand, Marquise, because I didn't have to take no tests. I'm like, what is that? Me counting jelly beans and all that? And I'm like, they just had a new rule that you had to take a test of how fast you can type. Now, mind you, you're not doing that typing. You answer the phone call. You're helping get admins in. Putting name tags on the door. So I know you didn't type that much because I used to fill in as a receptionist when one would call off. They was like, Marquise, can you sit in for somebody's lunch break? And I would do that because I always wanted to be accessible to always move up. So I went and I applied, and And the country, she was like, the HR that was in charge of the interviewing. She said, "Okay, oh my gosh, do you have any dress clothes?" I'm like, "Yes, I have plenty of dress clothes. I can dress professional. I have it." So she was just asking me all of these questions, and I would answer it. And she said, "We want you to move up in this company because you have been doing incredible work. Your work ethic, your attendance is on point, and everything. We want you to move up." Then I started to notice people don't want to move up. They hired a young white woman for the position. Had me to interview. They have already hired somebody, and then she came. Then she came to me. She said, "Marquise, you were so close of getting this position, but we wanted to go with somebody else, a younger white woman. She was really nice, thick, beautiful, good looking woman." But I knew what it was. I didn't get discouraged. I knew, hey, I'm dealing with some wickedness, but hey, it is what it is. Charged the game, didn't complain, kept CNA, boom. Then another position opened up to be the scheduler. Once again, that's double the amount that I'm making. I applied for that. Because I'm always going to apply for something to advance like what I'm doing. So I said, okay, let me apply for scheduler. Applied, nothing. Boom, boom. Because the lady that I really, really love, she left and she went somewhere else. And I wanted to, no, she got fired. She told me later on, once I had got her number, she told me this, later on she got fired. I didn't know at the time, but I went on an audition, interview for it. So I guess they said, listen, we can't, how we going to deny Wiley for this position? So I didn't get it. But they hired a black woman. And child, she was ghetto. Ghetto. And she already had beef with another employee from another facility, and they brought that beef to this new place she was working. She was ghetto. She was thick. Don't get me wrong. Mama was thick. And yeah, she was thick. I do remember that. Very attractive. But she was ghetto. Me and her bumped heads because when she changed and switched my schedule and gave it to somebody else. I'm like, why are you doing it? Why did you give my schedule to somebody else? And I was just going at it with her. Why did you do that? You can't do that. And she was like, you could have came to me. I don't do no he say, she say. I said, first of all, is she say, she say. It ain't no he say, because you did this behind my back and so I can't be trusted, etc. I said, you can't do that. So of course I went to the higher powers and they got involved and they said, you can't switch Mr. Wiley's schedule. This is his sort of time. You can't do that. And so she had to put my schedule back where it was. She didn't last long because they just got tired of her ghetto antics, that they demoted her and said, hey, you could be the lead CNA. You're going to take a pay cut, but we want to give this position to somebody else. I knew I wasn't going to get it. They gave it to another white person because she didn't pretty much mess it up for black folks. Ghetto ratchet. Oh, I can't believe this. Can you believe what they're doing? I'm leaving. Ain't nowhere in the world. I'm going to be a lead CNA. I left that in the past. Bye-bye. So at that time, I was like done working with predominantly white people and predominantly white residents. I got tired of it. I loved it because, first of all, I did thrive. I would do activity. I was getting paid for it. So I'm like, let me go take care of my own people, right? My own elderly folks, right? Let me take care of my own people. So I said I want to be PRL as needed employee, and I want to go to the south side of Chicago instead of me driving so far. I could may take a little pay cut, but still I'm so close to home. So I went to the most ratchetest nursing home, but it was my people. Baby, they be listening to James Brown. You can say, praise the Lord. Some of the brothers, they would say, praise the Lord, baby. God is so good, baby. How you doing? I can't see. It's so dark. It is so dark in here. Lord, have mercy. It is so dark. I can't see a thing. Who turned off all the light? I said, ma'am, you blind. Whoo, Lord, was so dark. Who that turned on all the light? Ma'am, you know you're blind. Oh, I'm blind. Lord, I have heard. I remember that. I don't get it. I always ignorant because I would work at this rundown place, but I loved it because I was working with my own people. And I just love working for my own people. Then the place out in Elmhurst that I was working, it was an employee that were black, that were black, and he was a black man. He decided to do something so stupid. Very attractive black man. In this particular place, it was well off people that had money, and that it was a beautiful place in Elmhurst. One of the best places I will wear if I ever get down. If I need to have a place to retire, I'll retire. That was really nice. But he left his unit, got the key, stole jewelry out of these people's apartments, tried to pawn the stuff in Elmhurst, and got caught and got arrested. Were stealing from those residents. Now, mind you, I had left and working the side, but I eventually went back. Once I found out that they were at black employees. Now, mind you, I am the only black male worker. All of the stuff that you use so you could walk around freely. What are you doing over here? You're not supposed to be. They're like, it was like, what? Hey, what's going on? It's me. It's me. It's me. So they were like, what? So eventually I was like, I got to let go of this place. It was too much. Rules were changing. New management were coming in. They were running that place like a plantation. This is how we're going to do it. We're not going to do the church services that you do while he is out. Some people are not into. We're not doing those type of church services. You got to follow the rules. You just can't do ad libs. Because, at the beginning of when I used to work in the place, in the Dimension unit, they pretty much let me do what I wanted to do as run activity, do the church service. We would wash car frequently, whatever. The residents were interactive into all of that. They would do Christmas song. We do everything. They would interact. But this lady, she didn't like it. And she shut everything down. And I didn't like working where I couldn't be free to enjoy my job, to have fun. Like when she come around, it was different. Like the whole environment was different. So I said, you know what? I'm done with this place. So I quit. I turned in my 2-week notice. And I went on and I continued to work at the facility that I was working at on the south side near my house. And let me tell you, losing my previous job. This is why I want to say, and I want to tip you back to this in this story time. Losing that job cleaning have literally taught me that you learn from your lessons. When you have a job, always be prepared to get fired. Always be prepared to leave. Don't leave no valuable stuff there, because they can tell if they hire you, it's a chance they can fire you. But I didn't know that at the time. Now, me being almost 30 years old, I understand it now. I understand it. I get it. But I thank them for firing me, because I would have never gotten in a position of helping people. I would never got in a position of actually working in activities, working in, hospice care. And now I'm in transitional mode where I'm entertaining people every day and doing a show every day. But I am not shocked that now so when I go on a job, it's a possibility that I may get fired. But now I am positioned where I'm working for myself, where I can check the mailbox if I have a sponsor, or if I'm taking a business meeting, or someone sending a donation or sending me words of encouragement for today. Like now I'm working for self. Now I'm entertaining people. Now I'm thinking of creative ways of entertaining people. This is not the first time I've done a story time. And when people come in the chat, I always welcome them when they different. This is why I tell people that mod for me, I like never delete their comments. Let them say what they want to say. In a sense, they're not like using too much profanity. but let them disagree, because what it does, it brings new people. And when people come out the woodwork, I let them come through. I see your comments. Oh, somebody else was doing a story time. Yes, and I got inspiration to do my story time. Last time I checked, this ain't the first and only time I have done story time. So when people come with these conversations and they say these things about Wiley, I welcome those comments. And if you sit and just wait a while, I will answer you. I was inspired to say, hey, today was low and commentary and celebrity gossip. So let me do a story time on Wiley. And when people come over there and they defend other platforms, I always come with facts. If it wasn't for me, your fave will still be reading cards. If it wasn't for me, your faves will still be selling you crystals and dirt to pay off that ruby red BMW. But on this show, I'm going to do what's best for the Wiley Show. And if I feel like telling a story time, I would tell it. But if it wasn't for me, your fave will still be in there. Call me now. Let me tell you about your future. All right? I may not get the credit, but one thing I can tell you, you just sit back and watch me just grow and grow. Because I haven't had my moment yet. So when people come and criticize me, I said, keep on criticizing me. But you wasn't there in the beginning of this show when it was 1 or 2, 3, 4 listeners, or when it was me interviewing a guest and it was just me interviewing the guest with no viewership, no listeners. But now I'm on consistent journey and I'm very consistent. And now you get people that will have conversations that be different. I welcome it. Just like today, I received an email. Let me read it. I posted on Patreon. Y'all got it first. That's why I said drop on the Patreon. But this person said this, quote, if you're not a part of the beef sector anymore, why? And they put the why in big letters. Are you still talking about, why are you still talking with the beef sector and making videos about them? Your audience knows nothing about this sector and do not want to hear about ish that we are not aware of. Believe it or not, a lot of us do not like the mess as you stated. It's boring and exhausting. We don't want to hear about people that we don't know and immature drama. If you're out of this sector, stop talking about it and them. And I responded to that comment. Over 80% of my audience love the B sector content. My recent video is almost at 4K views. So thanks for the email, but you are wrong. We had over 500 people watching that. 500 people were tuning in about the beef sector. Over 500. We don't even reach them type of numbers with celebrity gossip. Every blue moon, we may crack a 400 live viewers. Our show is not formulated with just live viewers. We go live, and if you catch the show live, great. If you don't, catch the replay. So we went live for 3 hours, and that was like people are interested in what I have to say, especially if it was a storyline about DC Gay, and we talked about it. So, but when people criticizes the Wiley Show and come at the Wiley Show and say things and say, Wiley, you're this or Wiley, you're that, I always welcome that conversation. I welcome it because I say on this show, we're going to have conversations. And if you disagree, comment below. It's great dialogue. I love it when people come in the comments and they have these great dialogues. And when they defend and they take up for somebody else, that's great. Is it going to stop me from talking? Absolutely not, because it's triggering you to comment on the show. It's triggering you to make a comment. So what I am doing is I'm on the right track because you're responding to engaging into whatever content I am producing. So I'm doing a great job. I'm doing an awesome job because you are here responding to it. If it wasn't great, you wouldn't watch it. You watch it because you're interested, because it provokes something in your existence to say, hey, Wiley, why are you doing a story time? Somebody else did a story time. You go and Google, thousands of people done story times, period. And that ain't going to stop me from doing a story time. I know your comments gonna be negative. All in the comments, that's fine. Whether you comment negatively or positive, thank you for watching the show. All right, so I say this humbly. If you are triggered, leave a comment. Urban group, I like this urban group conversation. Period. Pooh. Barbie, I'm still learning, and I don't agree with Wiley all the time, but I still love Wiley. Love his personality. I always want to be able to say my opinion. You feel me? Yes, everybody should be able to say your opinion, especially if you're on the app. I love it. They said not the Uno card reading. A little secret: when I first came here, I don't get it either. I was hot with him for covering people he disagreed with. You see, I'm still here. He really is good at what he does. Thank you so very much. And shout out for the comment. You got something special. Just right. And before I made a comment, people were reading cards. They were dropping in views. They were telling you about your future, going in their backyard, digging up dirt with worms and ants, trying to sell you something and tell you something about your future. We came out 100% and criticized that direction. Now, today, they are back in the mess. They're back in celebrity gossip. It's because we screamed from the mountaintop. Put the cards down. Get to the mess. And we said it so strongly. Less than 24 hours later, he was back in the mess. And I have to say that humbly. Right? Less than 24 hours later, he was back in the mess. You put those cards down, child. I want to see you get to 100K subscribers. And we will get there. You would get there. If you keep on being consistent. When people come to me every day about the 100K subscribers, I said I would get there. As long as I got breath in my body, getting that click in a view, we are one subscriber away towards that goal of 100K. It is my goal by 2021 to reach 100K on my birthday next year. I want to reach 100K. We just reached another 100 subscribers, so we will get there, people. But I will not sometimes get distracted at the fact that if I look at the number, oh man, I'm moving slow. I'd rather be moving slow and steady than not moving at all. I'd rather be moving slow and steady, but not moving at all. That's where I would rather be. So when people sit here and they have a conversation about Brother Wiley, I will tell you this. We are growing. It may not be at the speed of others, but this is the speed that I'm on. This is the journey that I'm on. And when we get there, we get there. Tomorrow, I probably can break a story and get 80,000 subscribers off one story. It only take one video. I was having a conversation with a blogger, and I told this brother, I said, brother, I remember following you at 5,000, and now you're almost at 100K. And I said to him, I said, I haven't had my moment yet. I'm preparing for my moment. And when I say that, let me put that in context. I have been reading Curtis Jackson book. Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter. I'm actually reading Charlemagne the God book, Black Privilege, because I know one day I'm going to talk to those brothers on this show. And I am auditioning for that moment. I'm auditioning for and preparing out, just preparing for that moment. I haven't had my breakout moment yet. We haven't had a video that reached 80K, 100K, 300K, 500K, a million too. We haven't had that yet. It's coming. It's coming, but it only take one video, one story to go viral, to garner and introduce you to a broader audience. Only take one, not 10, not 20. In this business of YouTube, you crack one good hot story, you could become an overnight success. But my time is yet come. It's all in due timing, right? And you got to keep moving forward. Your Justin J interview was great. Keep it up. Thank you. Your time is coming. Speaking of it, it's going to come. I think next year is going to, I know next year is going to be a great year for the Wiley Show. This year have been awesome. I think next year going to be greater. It's going to be bigger and better people that we're going to meet, and we're going to be awesome things. And then people will say, oh my gosh, I wish I would have found your channel earlier. It's going to happen. We got new people today that never watched the Wiley Show, that are new subscribers. It's some people that started watching me a month or 2 months ago. So that'll let you know it's new folks that are getting to know who Wiley is. It's new people. Wiley is coachable, is open to opinions, major platforms, respect that. Wiley haven't been around lately due family illnesses, not from COVID, but death, etc. I'm back. Oh, I'm glad to see you back. And well, glad to see you back. That's what I love. So people is in the chat. And I see we have done incredible things on this show, and people definitely comes through. And listen, when people disagree with me, I said I love the dialogue. I love the conversation. Just like when we get live on here, we might get into celebrity gossip, some celebrity news, and I get inspiration from others. If I see something, right. And I thank Justin J for coming on the show. Many people, let's speak about the Justin J. They didn't know that I knew Justin J for years. Justin J came on the Wiley Show years ago on my Blog Talk Radio show with the Star Milan situation. So when I broke that story, for the reason why you don't really see it, because once they haven't responded yet, the person that he's beefing with on his YouTube channel, if he would have responded, you'd have seen that video got more legs. But I'm glad we scored that interview with Justin J, and it shocked them. They was like, oh my gosh, you got Justin J? I'm like, yeah, I've been knowing Justin J for a long time before I became very active on YouTube. We go way back with Justin J. When Justin J was in the military, he knew one of my cousins. So, I've been a fan of his work. So it was a great interview. And when people say we don't have any friends, don't have a relationship, that's a lie. I just let people just sit here and just come with a narrative that be so false. And I sit and laugh. Well, let me see. Have you been with Wendy Williams calls? Welcome back. That was an awesome interview. I appreciate you giving us so much entertainment. You're great. I love why I mean no harm. Yes, I really enjoy Justin J on the show. Yes, I'm definitely a new subscriber, and it was your story time and the transparency kept about your experience that finally made me click the subscribe button. Love and respect, Wiley. Why does somebody ask me a question? Why does Amal Wiggins hate you? That's a question that you ask that brother. When somebody hates somebody, that is a question you ask him. But I can only say this: it's because of my opinion, it's because of my light. And I will always have my light, and I will always give my opinion. And that brother just can't handle my opinion. And I respect him. And I want to always have my opinion. Some people don't like him when you disagree with them. And when you disagree with them, some people are shaken by that. Actually, I feed off of that energy. But when you get on there, your platform, and you get some clout and some traction, people can't stand that. But hey, I do what I can do. But again, I don't see no other way. I don't hate that brother. That brother will always be a brother to me. So I don't get it. Why hate somebody for them having an opinion? Then you come at them, then they sell and try to read cards to you. Can you re-release the 9-hour video? You did give it advice to the couple. but break it down in parts. Yes, I would try to. Thank you for that. That was a 9 hour and 44-minute video. That is like a true classic. Wiley has thick skin. I can't wait for you to be here for the first Wendy Will call. Yes, and we definitely have her on. And I just love y'all for coming on for the story time because so many people, to my original point, had lost their job or got fired. But let me tell you, don't get discouraged. Make sure you file for unemployment and always have and keep good relationships with people. Keep good relation. I cannot tell you how far you would go by keeping a good relationship. Leave right. Be nice. Talk to the people in the kitchen. Talk to the dietary people. If you're in healthcare, always keep beautiful relationships. So when they move up, they'll remember, hey man, that Wiley person, he's a good worker. He's got a good spirit, good personality. I'm gonna give him a shot. Always keep good relationships with people, and I've learned that. Even like the job that I left, I had to leave due to medical reasons. They called me and they said, "You ready to come back?" Because I kept a beautiful relationship. I showed up to work when I couldn't work. I called in an appropriate time. I was there. I worked, and what department was I working in? I worked in not therapy, but uh restorative, restorative, and CNA, and I kept a beautiful relationship with that company. And with that in time, they always call me, "Hey, how you doing?" I kept a good relationship with the scheduler, kept a good relationship with the DON, good relationship with the with the administrator. So because they eventually they move on, they go to different companies. So always keep a good relationship will take you a long way. YouTube the same way. Get on the phone and keep a good relationship. Let it be known, if you're open to interviews, my daughter, she was Miss North America 2019, first black woman in the division. She's part of the 2019 Black Girl Magic. Yes, I would love to. Send me an email. You don't even know what you're in for over here. So much craziness to troll Whitney Williams in the chat. All of it. It's crazy. Yes, happy Saturday. All right, y'all. Well, we thank y'all so very much for calling. I mean, not calling in, for watching today's show. I will be back with another video. Um, you know me, I'm gonna go be screwing around in here for some content, and we here for it. I can't wait. I can't wait for it. I know y'all gonna be here down for a treat. Somebody sent me a video about something else, so I'm gonna go ahead and but do my research. My favorite boss told me to remember that I'm his office. Everyone is important. He said, make sure great. The janitor just as yeah, you treat your just as you treat him. He was the best. Absolutely. And you watch people that treat people, service workers, with respect. I have nothing but respect for that. I was reading Charlemagne the in my clothes. I was reading Charlemagne the God book, and I'm almost finished. I got a couple of pages left. And he said, I love when when Beyonce come in the room, she would speak to everybody, treat everybody with kindness. She said that would take you a long way. But he was speaking about Kelvin, not Kevin, Kelvin Hunter, which is Wendy Williams' husband, how he would go off on Wendy Williams' assistant, how she would break down and cry. And he said, don't do that. Treat people with good respect and love. Like, be careful. And he said, when I'm in a position of power, I will not treat my staff or my subordinates or people working under me bad and just dog them out for no reason. So definitely was reading that book. And he said, and he remembered that, and that amazes me when she says she speaks to everybody in the room. So I'm almost finished with that book, and I can't wait to break it down and break it down in its entirety. But I highly suggest people go get Black Privilege. Tomorrow I'm going to Barnes and Noble to purchase Sean King book that he wrote. I'm gonna go purchase that and read that. I just love reading. Then I got my Malcolm X book that I'm reading. And I've said that one of the traits I'm picking up, I said I'm gonna be working out and eating good and reading. So I was reading his book and I went to sleep, and I had all that good reading up on me, and yes, uh, I was definitely good for reading it. I think it would have been awesome for that. Let me see who somebody else sent me an email. There's no need for you to sit up. Okay. Have a great night. Have a great night, y'all. So I'll see y'all soon. Peace. I gotta go. I gotta give me some more best.